Okay, so today what we're going to do is, so we went over that. What I'm going to do is we're going to start our last part today, which is actually part 3, not part 2, I'm sorry, which is division. So we've done the adding and subtracting was part 1, and then we did multiplication. So we have 2 days of division. So we'll do that today and tomorrow. Wednesday we'll review, and then we'll have our test on Thursday. So be ready for Thursday. Okay. So today, division, the reciprocal of a real number. Okay. So if we have 2 numbers that we multiply together, because that's what product means, if we multiply 2 things together and their product is 1, we call those reciprocals. Did you do that in pre-algebra, reciprocals? We also call them multiplicative inverses of each other. Okay? So pick a number, Felix.
2.
Okay. Who can tell me what number I would multiply by 2 to get 1? Where the answer would be 1. So what I really want is 2 times what? So we'll pretend we got a gray box there.
I don't think I recognize the defender.
All right, there we go. All right. Anybody?
0.5.
0.5. What would we call that in a fraction? 1/2. Good. 2 and 1/2 are reciprocals of each other. So the reciprocal of 2 is 1/2. The reciprocal of 1/2 is 2. Okay, when we multiply those together, we'll get 1. Because when we multiply fractions, what do? When you multiply a fraction, how do you multiply fractions? Well, yeah. Can you hit escape on that? I'm hitting Thank you. What do we do when we multiply fractions? We multiply the numerators, and then we multiply the denominators, right? So what's another name for 2? How do we write 2 as a fraction? I did not hit it. Okay. How do we write 2 as a fraction?
2 over 1.
2 over 1. So if I multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators, what do I have? I have 2 over 2, which is 1.
Or they cancel each other out.
Okay. All right, so let's look at some of these things here. So a property of reciprocals. So again, we're going to keep adding to these properties that you need to know. So you got to make sure you write these in your notebook and that you're studying these, because they're going to get overwhelming if you let them go too far. So you need to make sure you know what all these properties are. So the property of reciprocals, for every non-zero number a, when you multiply a times 1 over a, you'll get 1. And that's because when you have just a number a, it's a over 1, which will give you a over a. Anything over itself is equal to 1. Okay. It says non-zero. This is important. You can never divide anything by 0. Okay? We call that undefined. Did you learn that in pre-algebra? Or is this new? It's all new? Okay. So you can't multiply, or you can't divide any number by 0. If you have any number divided by 0, the answer is undefined. It's not 0. Okay? So 6 divided by 0 is not 0. It's undefined. You can't do it.
So it's 6.
It's, what's that?
So it's 6.
It's not. It's undefined. There is no answer.
So if we have a
You
question,
can never divide anything by 0.
so if we have like a question like that on the test or the homework, it's gonna be
Undefined.
just like not available or something.
No, you're going to write undefined.
Okay, that's really long word.
I don't think there's any on there like that. But as you move on now in math, you're going to see this over and over again. You're going to see this where they eliminate what a can't be or what something can't be. And it can't be 0 because that's undefined. You can do, by the way, you can do 0 over 6, right? What's 0 over 6?
0 over 6.
Right, 0 over 6 is 0. You can divide 0, but you can't have the 0 in the denominator. You can't divide something by 0. Okay, so that's what that is. And so vice versa, if you have 1 over a, the reciprocal of 1 over a is a, to get you 1. Again, a is over 1, a over a. That's the property of reciprocals. It just says that you can't divide by 0, and that if you take a number and you put it over itself, that will give you 1. Okay. The property of the reciprocal of the opposite of a number. Okay. So this is basically, what do we do if we want a reciprocal and we have a negative or an opposite in? And again, for every non-zero number a, because a can't be 0, okay, and you're going to want to do this, so you'll make a mistake. At some point, they'll have an a as a 0, and you're going to say 0, and it's not. It's undefined, because you never can divide by 0. So, if you have a negative a, basically the reciprocal is just the negative outside of it. We read this, the reciprocal of negative a is negative 1 over a. Okay? We're going to do some examples in just a second. Okay. We know that when we multiply fractions, we multiply the numerator times the denominator. So for the property of the reciprocal of a product, when we're multiplying two things, and they're going to be fractions, or you put them into fraction form, if we multiply the numerators, there's 1 times 1 is 1, and if we multiply the denominators, a times b is ab. So if you have 1 over a times b, or if you have 1 over where you're multiplying two things, you can pull apart the multiplication sign, and it's just 1 over a multiplied by 1 over b. The reciprocal of the product of two non-zero numbers, remember, a and b.
It's like it's a dead zone.
Yeah. The reciprocal of the product of two non-zero numbers is the product of their reciprocals. Okay, so let's do some of these.
You might have to recalibrate the board.
I might. We'll have to worry about that later. All right, so everyone's got your book open. We're going to do these oral exercises. We're going to start with it on page 80. Okay? So we're going to go around the room. We'll start with you, Eric. You got your book open at page 80? Everyone's book's on page 80. We're going to do the oral exercises at the bottom of page 80. So we're going to start with stating the reciprocal. Okay? All right. 7. So what's the reciprocal of 7, Eric? Pretend I have a gray box here. What am I going to multiply by 7 to get 1? It's that first property. Did you write down the 3 properties? Or no? You got to write these properties down. Who can help them out? Desiree?
7 times 1. 7 times 7.
7 times 7 would be what? 49? Shay?
1 7.
1/7. Good. Again, 7 is just over 1. If I multiply the numerators, it's 7 over 7. It'll give me 1. So any number, if I take it over, if I put it in the denominator and put it over 1, under 1, it'll give me 1. Okay? All right, Eric, let's try the next one. What's the reciprocal of 1? Which is? Right. The reciprocal of 1 is 1. Okay. Danny, how about negative 1? Negative 1 over 1, which is? Negative 1. So the reciprocal of negative 1 is negative 1. Okay. Let's see. Noah. 1/11. There's a dead zone somewhere there. All right. 1/11. What's the reciprocal of 1/11? Think about it this way. I'm going to use this little box there. If I want to get 1, then I need to get the numerator and the denominator the same, because anything over itself is 1, right? Okay. Let's try it this way. So what am I going to multiply by this so that I have the same thing over the top and the bottom?
1.
I need a 1 down here, right? And then what do I need up here? If 1 times 11 is 11, what do I need up here to make this the top 11 as well, the numerator? What times 1 is 11? 11 times what is 1 times what is 11? Figure like 1 times what equals 11? 11. Okay, so the answer is the reciprocal of 1/11 is 11. Okay, it's just 11. Okay. I'm sorry, there's a dead zone on this word for no reason. Okay. Let's see. Nathan, -2. Did we just put the negative out in front? That was that second property, the property of the opposites. -1/2. Good. Okay, Gianna, 3/4. So when we want the reciprocal, all we're doing is flipping the denominator and the numerator, right? Okay, so flip the denominator and the numerator. What am I going to get? 4/3. Notice, 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 over 12 is 1. Okay? So the reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3. Elise, 0.25. Okay, good. 0.25 is what? How do we write that as a fraction? 1/4. Please flip those. It's 4/1 or just 4, right? Okay. Shay, -1/8,
-8/1.
which is -8/1. What is that? It's the same as what? I'm sorry?
1.
If you have anything over 1, what does it give you? Itself. 5/1 is 5, right? 6/1. So what's -8/1?
8.
Good. Tim, -13/5. Yeah, let's do that again. Maybe I'll put it in my dead zone here.
How annoying.
Is that one that works? Now
There's definitely a dead zone here in the middle. I don't know why. If you hit escape, we'll have to figure that out in the next period. I don't know what's going on with that. For some reason, the middle is.
Then there's a dead.
Won't let you right in the middle.
Restart the smart.
All right.
All
All right.
What
All right. What's what was I at? -13/5.
-5 over -5/13.
That's correct. Very good.
Damn smart.
Desiree, keep your head up though. That way you can help someone else if they don't have it. All right. -2/3.
would be a -3/2. Which would be 1/2.
What's that?
And then top of fraction, so it would be 10.
You could make it 1.5, but here's the deal with algebra. You're going to find we're not going to move them back to mixed numbers. So now that you're moving up, I know, in 6th and 7th grade they wanted you to make this like 1.5, -1.5, but we're going to just leave them just like that, okay? Because, and a lot of times once we're solving equations, we're going to need the fraction, and then you're going to have to end up multiplying back out the mixed number. So unless something ever asks you for a mixed number, which I don't think it will, then just leave them improper. Okay, what number am I? Number 11 is Linda, 1/W.
W/1.
Which is?
-W/1.
No, you were right. It's W/1. But when we have anything over 1, what is that equal to?
1.
Itself.
W.
Itself, right? W. What's the only? That means a dead zone. What's the only condition? What can't W be? No, it can be negative. You can have negative a half. What number couldn't this be? You can't divide by what number? What number?
0.
So we have to say W
Equals $1.
can equal 0. That's really annoying. I don't know why that's. All right. Tiffany. -1. -1 over S.
S will be -1.
I'm sorry?
S will be -1.
It's just negative S. You just pull the negative sign on the outside. But what? And what number can't S be?
0.
So we just S can't be 0. It's important to remember that, guys. So you're gonna want to put that. So it's negative S as long as S is not 0. All right. We're going up to number 13 here. Who am I on? Weston. Now we got some multiplication going. So let's do that over here. 1/6 times 1/10. What's that? Equals 1/60th. Remember? Multiply the numerators. 1 times 1 is 1. And then multiply the denominators. 6 times 10 is 60. Okay, what about number 14, Felix? 14 is 1 over -2 times 1 over -12.
1/24.
Good. Notice, -2 times -12, two negatives are going to give us a positive number, so it's -1/24. Good. All right, Alex. 1/6 times -1/4. Good. 1 over -24. Multiply the numerators, and then multiply the denominators. And last but not least, Hojin. Let's see. 1 over -x times 1 over y. And we know x can't be 0, and y can't be 0. What am I going to get? What's 1 times 1? What is x times what?
Minus xy.
Remember, we pull the minus. That second property, that property of the reciprocal of opposites. Property of reciprocal of an opposite number. We just pull the negative sign out there. -1 over xy. Good. Does anybody have any questions so far on any of this? Okay. Let's try some of the harder ones then. And we'll, let's get some people to come on up. You know what, I'll do it up here. Let's find... Everyone pull out a piece of paper, or a notebook, whatever you have there. And everyone do this together, and then raise your hand once you have it. Everyone can see that, right? Raise your hand when you have it. You have it? Only one.
No, I have a question.
Oh, what's your question?
Wait, what did you get? What's the answer to that one on the board?
With this one here?
Yeah.
-1 over xy. I don't need to, but you can put the parentheses like that so you can see that it's negative the whole
I
thing.
think I had it at this.
Start by turning everything into a fraction. If you turn everything into a fraction, it'll be a lot easier. If you're stuck, if your hand's not up, that means you're still working on it or you're stuck. So if you're stuck, if you turn everything into a fraction, I've got 4 things up there. If you turn, one's already a fraction. If you turn the other 3 into fractions, it's a lot easier. Okay? You're done? Okay. 1 done. I'll wait on the rest. You got it? All right. 1 up in board on pink. I'm gonna give 1 more minute for those still working. Okay, you're done. You don't yell it out.
Was that one in the book?
It is. It's in the book. It's number 15 in the book. All right. So if we turn them all into fractions, what do I have here? I have, how do I turn 8 into a fraction? That's easy, right? 8 over 1. How about A?
8 over 1.
How about B? B over 1. And then the last one's already a fraction, right? We have negative 1/4, so that means that you can, the negative normally goes with the numerator. You could put it in either, but the negative normally goes with the numerator, so we have negative 1 over 4. Okay? Now all you're doing is multiplying across the top and multiplying across the bottom. You're going to multiply the numerators when you're multiplying fractions, and then put it over the multiplying the denominators. So we have A times B is 8AB, and it's negative. Negative 8AB. And then 1 times 1 times 1 times 4 is 4, right?
Yep.
What's 4 divided by 8?
You mean 8 divided by
I'm sorry, 8 divided by 4.
2. Negative 2AB.
How many of you got that? Raise your hand if you got that one. All right.
Well, do you necessarily have to put the A and the B over 1?
What?
Do you necessarily have to put the A?
No, I mean, as you get going on these and you get good at them, you'll be able to do that in your head and you realize what you have. But I think to start out, while you're getting used to it, it's easier to put them over 1 so you can see them. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. You can just kind of in your head see where that's going, but not everyone can. And so it's easier sometimes to put that as a fraction. Did you have a question, Desiree?
I think it was close to that.
Do you see how I did it? Do you understand once I did it? All right, we're going to try another one. It's going to be... Let's do number 17. Let's do number 17. Negative 4 PG.
PG-14.
Oh, lovely. And that we know that's multiplying times 1 over negative 2. Everyone's working on it, okay? We're just multiplying. That's that gap in the middle that wouldn't let me write, okay?
Is 1/2 negative?
What's that?
Is 1/2 negative?
No,
You tell me. What's 1? Technically, you can. It's this. It can be this. It can be this, or it can be this. Typically, this is what we're gonna write. That second property in your book showed you to pull it out. Okay. Oh, I wrote the same thing there. Do you have it, Eric? Well, you're not writing anything. Grab a pencil. Write something. If you're not sure, try something. Make everything a fraction. Do you have a piece of paper or a notebook or something? I'm just going to try anything else. Can you hit escape again for me, please? It's just randomly asking you to count. Okay. How many have the answer? Raise your hand if you have the answer. So I got a bunch. What did you get, Gianna? Let me see what number it is. 17? What did you get, Gianna?
2 PG over 1.
Which is just 2 PG. When it's anything's over 1, you can just leave the over 1 off because it's just itself. Good. How many of you got that? 2 PG.
Why is it not negative?
Because Weston, there's a negative 2 and a negative 4.
All right. So what do I have? I got negative 4.
Oh, wait, I got it. No,
I have negative 4 over 1 times P over 1 times G over 1 times 1 over negative 2. So 4 times PG times 1 is just 4 PG, and that's negative, over negative 2. That cancels out to a 2. 2 negatives are a positive. Okay. All right. I'm going to do two things. So I'm going to pass out today's sheet